It's the 90s Kid Show. Welcome to the 90s. 5 reasons I loved the 90s. Alright, reason number 2. Music. The 90s music was so amazing. Hip-hop back then was incredible. 90s hip-hop was so good, at least for a time period, that it was so hot. It was the hottest genre for young people. It was like this movement. The hip-hop culture was basically divided into many different elements, and the rap aspect of it became the most mainstream by the early 90s. It was the biggest money-making element. And you had acts like Nas and Big L and Pac, of course, Biggie, Rascals, Maestro, Dr. Dre, Dr. Octagon, M, Chino XL, Wu-Tang Clan, Gangstar, Das FX, Naughty by Nature, Will Smith. Yes! Even Will Smith was on point. He had some big hits back then. Oh my god, nothing beats those fucking amazing hip-hop records. They were meaningful, they were catchy, the production was amazing. They sampled so many great fucking old school funk joints and like jazz pieces. It was just so different. It felt fresh. And then you have other genres like grunge and post-grunge music. Nirvana was amazing. Pearl Jam. You know, these bands were incredible. They had some amazing songs, and they captured that teen angst phase that people were struggling with back then. You know, they spoke from the soul. It felt very melancholy. Speaking of melancholy, Smashing Pumpkins. Amazing band. There's another great one. Yeah, also, the alternative bands were great. Sunny Day Real Estate. The Cranberries were awesome. And then you had the industrial cats. You had Nine Inch Nails and Marilyn Manson and Orgy. You know, these great bands that were dark sounding. They were fucking phenomenal. They had more of a gothic style to it. Well, some of them had a gothic thing to them. And their music felt more morbid and bleak and just, oh my god. Nu metal. The nu metal of the 90s, I mean, probably the best era of nu metal. Maybe even early 2000s was pretty good. Korn, Limp Bizkit, they were great too. Korn is like one of my favorite bands, and there was a time when Limp Bizkit was a great band as well. They were arguably the hottest band in the world in their prime. Oh god. They basically, what nu metal is, really, it's like this exaggerated, very heavy sort of metal sound with a lot of like industrial stylings to it, heavy riffs, and this catchy kind of thing, this sort of like this appeal of the kind of the bleak, grungy style as well. This sort of this nice mix of the 90s flavor. And then you have the techno stuff. Electronica was on point. That's what we called it back then. We called it techno. Oh, that's techno. Anything that was electronica that had a beat like it doesn't matter if it was like jungle or drum and bass or house music, it was just techno. But yeah, Prodigy was great. Orbital, Current Craft, and then you had Britpop. Britpop was fucking incredible. Oasis, Blur, Pulp, maybe even. Yeah, Pulp was great. They had some great sounds. They were basically sort of like the anti-grunge. They were sort of like more traditional rock acts that continued to sort of crank out more traditional sounding rock with a sort of a modern 90s flavor to it. Like Oasis is very Beatles-esque, but just more hip. You know, they were just more current. So the 90s had amazing music. There's no doubt about it. And there's no question that the 90s music, in my opinion, is just superior to anything in the past 13 years. It's not even close. It's such a powerful decade. I know it gets a lot of flack from people, especially older people, that go, wow, the 90s had shit. It's not that great compared to the 80s or the 70s or the 60s. Sure, I can see that. But for a different reason, it was still really good. You know, particularly with the hip-hop and the new metal and the Britpop stuff and the grunge as well. 5 reasons I loved the 90s. Alright, reason number 3.